there's like a TV broadcast of the president saying, sorry guys, but we're going to have to protect ourselves with more nuclear armaments or something. And for some reason, this is something a 5th grade class is watching live in their classroom.
Yeah.
The teacher turns off the TV. And this, I love. This is so terrible and stupid. She goes, wow, that's not good news. And then she looks at the class and goes, what should we do about it?
Yeah, right.
5th graders.
Is there anything we can do? Doesn't anyone have a suggestion?
They're like, well, we could write to our congressman. And someone's like, congressman can't do anything. He's got no power.
That'll do a lot of good. Somebody has to be an optimist.
And then Jeremy, who's looking out the window, and I think she goes, what about you, Jeremy? And he turns around, and maybe the kid actor had a terrible line delivery of all of his lines, because I think he's totally ADR'd for the whole movie.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, but he turns around and he's like, and he's not even like an adorable moppet. He's a dick too. He's like going, we should write to the one guy who could do something about it. And they're like, who? He's like, Superman.
I tell you who I'd write a letter to that would do some good.
Okay. Anyway, so this is literally the crux of our plot, is delivered in ADR from a kid actor. And the impetus is a 5th grade teacher going like, what are you going to do about nuclear armament?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do about it? I guess I could chain myself to the front of a nuclear facility or something. I'm only 11. What do you want from me? So Jeremy's letter gets sent to the Daily Planet, handed off to Lois. Lois hands it off to Clark. Like, you know him too. You should read this. And he's like, Dear Superman, couldn't you get rid of nuclear weapons? And he's like, I have never thought about that. And he takes too long, apparently, to answer the kid, or he's debating it internally. And Lacey or her father latch onto it like, oh, that's great. We'll put out a paper that says, Superman to kid. Fuck off.
Yeah. Drop dead or pound sand or whatever it says.
Yeah, pound sand.
Something along those lines, which kind of forces his hand.
I wish it were pound sand.
I think that there may actually have been, there's a lot that was cut out of this film.
There were supposed to be two
nuclear
creatures. Yeah. One was the first one was supposed to be very much like Bizarro.
Right. I've seen that footage. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's worse than anything that's actually in the movie.
That's why they got rid of it.
So I think there may have been a scene where Superman actually does officially decline. So no, I can't. There's a lot I can do.
Okay.
They just
regardless,
cut that part
it just, the
but
whole thing is like, that will be a sensational headline. And Clark's like, well, I don't think Superman actually did tell him to go pound sand. I don't believe that was something that Superman would say to a child.
No.
But this is the whole thing. So at this point, I don't know why, Warfield thinks this is such a big story that he flies the kid to Metropolis. And then I want to welcome you to Metropolis and say, sorry that Superman blew you off. Is like, is there anything you'd like to say to Superman? And the kid actually goes, well, lip readers can tell what I'm really saying, but there's some ADR of some other kid who's doing my dialogue. But anyway, he's like, well, I wish Superman had listened to me or whatever, because it would have been cool.
I just said I wish Superman would have said yes.
And then Jimmy Olsen's been hired to take the kid around and get pictures of him on a whirlwind tour of Metropolis. Hey, you want some ice cream? Get some ice cream. I'll take a picture of you. That's good news. And then Superman shows up. Is like, hey, Jimmy, you mind if I borrow Jeremy? I hope that name doesn't confuse anybody, but let me borrow Jeremy. Let's talk. And in fact,
we got to back up because there's some stuff that I'm realizing that we skipped now.
Did we skip the aerobics scene? Because that's important.
Yeah, let's not miss that. Superman as Clark in all these scenes is agonizing over what to do about this.
Yes, as you would.
There is one really nice shot, which I'd seen clips of the shot elsewhere. I didn't even know it was in this movie. It doesn't look like it looked like it's from another movie where it's not. It's in this movie. It was just a nicely directed shot where he's.
You were surprised. Oh my God!
Like,
Sidney
what am I going to do? I think it's right after that headline came out of Superman tells Jeremy to pound sand, and he goes,
take a flying.
He goes to the window. And he takes his glasses off and he's sitting there and he's like very pensively staring out the window. Like, I like that shot. That's pretty cool.
I will say this doesn't need to be said. Christopher Reeve, and this is 4 movies in, he looks great.
He does.
I mean, even if the suit isn't, I was just like, he was even growing into even more of like the character. I'm like, you're not so young anymore, but you're fitting Superman so well. Too bad that's in this goddamn movie.
Yeah.
And you'll do the right thing no matter what it is. You always have.
He gets the advice from Lois, which is follow your gut. You've got a good gut. You should follow it.
You gotta go with your gut.
And he's like, okay, thanks, Lois. I guess I should tell that kid not to pound sand. You know what I'll do, Lois? I'll find that kid while he's pounding sand. And I will grab his hand and I'll say, no more. No more sand pounding. Because I think that is the deal. He's heard from the elders, which were bullshit. And actually, I'm glad that that was the last vestige of Krypton.
Oh, the elders. That's right.
The elders are just like, it's like, betrayal.
Betrayed.
Betrayed.
Jeez, like, what are you doing?
I didn't know that the Kryptonian culture was so melodramatic. Guilty. Betrayed.
Yeah.
Betrayed.
It was like a B movie, like, Attack of the Killer Shrews or something. It was
really is.
What?
With that advice is when he decides to break up Jimmy and Jeremy's date.
Hi, Jeremy.
And then he goes, Jeremy, you want to walk with me? Then it becomes literally like Willy Wonka. Then it becomes like people just start following well, I mean, if I had been a kid and I saw Superman, I'd be like, why can't I walk with them too? So yes, suddenly a whole group is following him, and he's supposedly walking to the UN, which again seems to be located close to the Orange Julius.
Good luck, Superman. Thanks.
I like that he's given it plenty of thought, because he is now just intruding.
Yeah, he's just showing up. They don't know. Nobody knew he was going to be there, but it seems it's unfolding as if they all knew.
Superman is very cordial and he's very polite. He's like, Madam Secretary, I'm sorry. I know I'm not on the docket for today, but would you mind if I speak to the assembled? And she's like,
in that case, you will need a sponsor.
And then all the representatives of all the countries are like, I will, yes, he's good with me. And then Superman gets up there and says, hey, everybody, here's the deal. Nuclear weapons suck. So I'm going to take all of your nuclear weapons. And I'm paraphrasing. He actually said, nuclear weapons really suck. And I'm going to get rid of all of them. And what's very unrealistic about this, they do address it in dialogue later. I was surprised that they actually did address it. But he says this as an independent who mostly hangs out in the United States. Every single person from every country in the world goes, yay!
Huh?
Yeah.
And Jeremy, I think, is sitting on Lois's lap. But anyway, she's like, it's a very important moment. And he's like, he's really doing it. Yay. And then Superman's like, great. You guys got no problem with that? Perfect. And then montage of him getting rid of nuclear weapons.
In a big fishing net. Which is very comic book.
It's very comic book. How else are you going to, in one big, package, shoot them all, just throw them into the sun? But yeah, so he goes around the world, collects nuclear missiles, and isn't, challenged, and he just puts them all in a big net and whirls them into the sun.
Very interesting arrangement, though. He has, apparently the agreement was, everybody just launch them. I'll catch them and put them in a net.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, nothing will go wrong. Don't worry about it.
I don't know why you needed them to launch them. He could just kind of I'll just grab
Could you just
that.
come and get
Thanks.
them?
Yeah, he could just come and get them. It doesn't matter. We would lose the awesome scenes of whenever he grabs them in space, hearing the dunk as he holds them.
Yeah, we need the dunks.
Because we need the dunks. How else we know that he had made contact? So yeah, he swings them in a big fishing net, shoots them off to the sun. And yeah, I know he's done equally ridiculous stuff in the comics, and I love them in the comics of the day. And actually, I don't have a huge problem with this. It's just the simplicity of, well, nuclear weapons are dangerous for the entire world. Everyone's afraid of them, so I'll just get rid of them. That making him kind of a dictator, or at least a person is like going, you have no say in this, and I have the power to do it, so I'm going to do it.
When that, like you said, I mean, that is it's a premise it's a promising premise that could have been really cool if they had written it well. But
yes, exactly.
Nothing in this movie is written.
No,
close to being
the line that it's during the double date, because Lois is kind of dating, but is also going to do another interview while they're on this date. So she's like, and no one challenged you, or and he goes,
You know, Lewis, there always was the possibility that some warped individuals would take advantage of the world's goodwill, but
so they did like address like there was no country that was like, hey man, you ain't
Back
taking our
off.
weapons.
Yeah.
Back off. Pound sand.